Hey guys, Andrew from Seemu Apps here, and in this tutorial we're going to look at parsing JSON natively in Swift, then using SwiftyJSON, which is a library, to parse it a lot easier, and finally we'll actually parse it from an endpoint web REST service URL, so you can see how you would set up the connection and get the JSON response. Okay, so first of all, what is JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's essentially, in a nutshell, a way for all sorts of different programs to have a common language that they all can speak and understand so they can communicate. In this example on the screen, in the bottom, I have an example JSON format. It's basically an array which contains two animal objects, which both have a type object and a legs object. The first one is a cat, which has 4 legs, and the second one is a spider, which has 8 legs. So what I've gone ahead and done is created a new single view application in Xcode. I've just pasted in the following line, which is this JSON format here, just in a string, so you can copy it from the description below, and if I can't fit it in there, I'll leave a paste bin link which will contain a link to this string. So what we're going to look at is extracting the cat and the number of legs the cat has from this JSON structure. So to do this, what we do, first of all, we do let animals JSON equals animals.data, and using is going to be .utf8 exclamation mark, and this is going to set up this string here inside a special data object, which we're then going to try and convert to a JSON object. And if it does convert to a JSON object, we can then extract the cat and the 4 legs the cat has. Okay, so first of all, we do if let parsed data equals try question mark JSON serialization dot JSON object, and we are going to use just the with. So we're going to do with animals JSON, and we don't need the option, so we can just delete that here. Don't do as exclamation mark any object, then curly brackets. So what that's going to do, it's going to try and convert this animals JSON data into an actual JSON structure that we can then parse. So we do let inside here first object equals parsed data bracket 0 brackets animal brackets, then as exclamation mark, we're going to make it a string colon any, so that's a dictionary, and then we'll do let legs equals first object square brackets, then we'll do in here a legs string. Finally, we'll do let type equals first object, and in the square brackets here we'll do type, that's all in lowercase, and finally we need to print it out to the console, so do print legs exclamation mark and print type exclamation mark. So let's run that code here, and while it's running, I'm just going to move this to the top of the screen up here. Okay, so the app's running now. We're just using a console for this tutorial, so we can see here it's printed out the number 4 for the number of legs and cat as the type. So the way that's working is this parsed data converts this to a JSON object. The first object goes to parsed data, gets the first element in the array, which is position 0. So there's the first one's here, which is 0. The second animal's here, which is position 1. So once we've got this first element, we then get the legs and type. And what that does, since it's a dictionary, that will actually return cat and the number 4. So that's how we get those object values from a JSON string. Okay, so now what we're going to look at using is SwiftyJSON, which is a CocoaPods library that's used to make parsing JSON a lot easier. So if you're not too familiar with CocoaPods, the card on the screen now will give you a link to the CocoaPods tutorial as to what it is and how to use it, and that will also be in the description. So I've went ahead and created a pod file in our project here. So if we just open that up with your favorite text editor, and in this JSON parsing, what we're going to do, we're going to add the pod, which is pod SwiftyJSON. Once you've added that, save your text file, close it down, and we'll run pod install on our directory of the project. Okay, so I've got our project here. Now I've got the SwiftyJSON pod installed. So now let's parse this string using SwiftyJSON instead. So once you've installed the pod under import foundation, add import SwiftyJSON. And then what we are going to do, we're going to delete all this code we have here up to animals. So to use SwiftyJSON to parse this animals JSON here, we simply do if let data from string equals animals dot data using dot UTF-8, and we actually want to use this one here with allow lossy conversions dot UTF-8, allow lossy conversion as false. And then in here we do let animals JSON equals JSON data, and data is going to be data from string. Finally, do let first animal legs equals animals JSON bracket 0 bracket animal, then finally legs. Then we'll do let first animal type equals animals JSON position 0 once again, and we need to use animal. Finally, we can do type. Then we'll do print, and we'll print out the first animal legs, and we'll print out the first animal type also. Once you've done that, let's run that now, just to show you what parsing. And while that's running, the reason why SwiftyJSON is a lot easier, while that's running, the reason SwiftyJSON is a lot easier is that we can go straight to position 0, which is this object here, go to animal, go to type and legs right here without separating it completely. So you would have noticed in the older code, we first of all had to go to position 0, get the animal, then from there get the type and legs. This is just printed out 4 in cat, so this just lets us go straight to the object itself in a position in a JSON array. It's got a lot of other nifty features, and it might look like you're only saving a few lines of code, but when you're dealing with massive JSON objects, that adds up quite a lot over time. Okay, so next off, what we're going to do is parse JSON from an API endpoint. So we're going to use OpenWeatherMap, and I'll leave the website link in the description below. Basically, using this API, you can get the weather of any city in the world. We're going to use this example one they've got here, which is London. Now, I've formatted it a lot more nicer in this notepad file, so you can actually see the JSON structure a lot more clearer. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect to this URL up here, and then we are going to get the temperature from here. And finally, we are going to get the weather main, which is the weather type, which is currently drizzling. This could be raining, sunny, etc. So we're going to connect to this URL and get those two object values, which is drizzle and the temperature is 280.32. And if you're wondering why it's 280, they have a description on this website as to what that format actually means. Here it is, Kelvin. So you can convert that to Celsius, Fahrenheit, etc. So let's do that now. So go back to your Xcode project. We're still using SwiftyJSON. I'm just going to remove the old code we had. You can leave it in there. And to get it from a URL, we do let URL equals URL bracket string. And the URL string is going to be this URL here, which I'll paste in the description below, so you don't have to copy it all out. Once we've got the URL, we simply do URL session.shared.data task. We're going to use a completion handler. So with URL, it's simply going to be URL exclamation mark. Completion handler is going to be a curly bracket, then a smooth curly bracket, data, comma, response, comma, error. Close that off, the curly bracket, do in. Once you've done that, simply close this off here with one of these curly brackets, and at the end do dot resume. And inside this block of code here, we're going to get the weather information. So first of all, we'll do guard let data equals data, comma, error equals nil. With two equal signs for the error, do else, and we'll do return in these squiggly brackets here. What this line of code does, if there's an error connecting to this URL for whatever reason, it will just exit this function and it won't try and parse the JSON. The reason is, if we try to actually parse the JSON we get from the URL here, when we didn't get any data back, maybe the website was down, maybe the user's device lost connection, and so on, it will continue to try and actually extract the temperature and the weather type from this JSON. So we don't want to do that if we don't actually get anything back. Finally, to get the information, we do let type equals JSON brackets weather square brackets 0 square brackets main. Close that string off. Do let temp equals JSON in the square brackets main as a string, and finally temp. Do print type and print temp. Finally, let's run the app now and take a look at it. Okay, I just quickly noticed I've missed one line of code, which is let JSON equals JSON brackets data colon data. And this is getting the JSON from that URL and storing it in this JSON object here. So if we run that now, we can see our app will launch up and we'll get the temperature and the type of weather that London is having currently. Alright, so we can see it's drizzle here for the type of weather, and the temperature in Kelvin is 280.32. As we can see here on the website, 280.32 is the temperature, and it is drizzle for the type of weather. So this is how you can get information out of the JSON structure, whether that's in a string or using a web point URL. Remember, you can do it natively in Swift. It just requires a bit more work. So sometimes it's easier to use a library such as SwiftyJSON.